like the alchemists, for example, speculated that human beings in some sense are furthering creation by our actions and by our choices. And I think there's something to that. It's like creation is unfinished in some sense, and that we're participating in moving it in whatever direction it is that we want to move it.
Alchemy is about the generation of a psychic construct, a wholeness, a thing which has many properties, which is paradoxical, which is both mind and matter, which can do anything.
The creation of alchemical gold is something taking place constantly rather than at a fixed point in time. The total value of a person's entire life. The object that stands outside of time and mortality as a reflection of one's some life force.
How bright the moon and stars glow, and knowing, even in the warmth of day, they are still there.
Art is my alchemical vessel, and I think many creatives familiar with some notion of alchemy have often felt this way. The Hermetic axiom, as above, so below, is believed to hold the key to all mysteries. In a basic conception, it is the idea that the world we call home and the heavens above aren't quite so separate from one another as some traditional views would suggest. In fact, the relation between such distinct realms has now to be reimagined. Heavenly realms are beyond the limits of imagination and can only be conceived of through an ongoing process of correspondences between the intellect, the intuition, and their experience of the world around them. The dialogue between emotion and thought corresponds with the dialogue between the fixed and the fluid in a work of art. Creativity is the act of the intellect and the intuitive creating harmony via a continuous diplomacy. An artist is near the language of alchemy because the correspondences between emotions and the subtleties of colour variation, between states of mind and visual form, between patterns of thought and the patterns brought to the canvas, become familiar to the artist. The boundaries between mind and matter become permeable in the artist's progression as the influence of each on the other grows in the space of their work. Naturally, with the progression of time and an artist's work moving forward, a cyclic affirmation grows as an image of that very communication between mind and matter. This bridge of communication can itself harbour a vitality, enough to go beyond itself and extend its reach as a unifying field between many more polarities, dualities, and disparate realms of reality than those at play in the surfaces of the artist's work and mind. Painting the universe, drawing reality. A I've got this brilliant quote in the introduction of What Painting Is by James Elkins, which is essentially all about the connection between alchemy and painting, I would say. That's its focus. But yeah, in the introduction, just find it. Painting and other visual arts are an example of negotiations between water and stone. Another example of this negotiation is alchemy. In alchemy, the stone, with a capital S, is the ultimate goal. You'll recall the Philosopher's Stone in J.K. Rowling's sort of popularised stories, Harry Potter. But yeah, that's like a sort of fantasy image. And indeed, the alchemists did work with physical matter. But I think the idea of the stone, of the Philosopher's Stone, the goal of the alchemists, the real traditional alchemists, was more of an internal goal. It was more of the soul projected, the sort of perfected wisdom that a human being can achieve. It was essentially a philosophical matter. You'll note also, interestingly, that Nicholas Flamel, who is a character in the Harry Potter stories, is actually a reference to a real figure from the history of medieval period alchemy. So yeah, that's just an interesting point. The stone with a capital S is the ultimate goal, and one of the purposes of alchemy is to turn something as liquid as water into a substance as firm and unmeltable as stone. As in painting, the means are liquid and the ends are solid. And as in painting, most of alchemy does not have to do with either pure water or hard stones, but with mixtures of the two. Alchemists worked with viscid stews, with tacky drying films, with brittle skins of slag. In short, they were concerned with the same range of half fluids as painters and other artists. And that lovely piece of very visceral language there is testament to the language throughout this entire book. It's got a very, if you're a painter, if you're an artist, or if you're interested in alchemy, like if you're interested in alchemy and think you might want to be interested in painting, this book's for you, and vice versa. If you're a painter, if you're an artist, not very familiar with alchemy, and would like to become more familiar with alchemy, then this book is also for you. And the language is just engaging in a very earthy, very earthy way. This is more the earthy side of alchemy. It's not got much of a feel of the ethereal and the philosophical about it. It's more the kind of hands-on, dusty, cobwebbed shelf of many strange chemicals and liquids, and all of that kind of imagery is contained in that book, so that's a nice one. And just while we're on books, the Hermetic Museum Alchemy and Mysticism, compiled by Alexander Roob, is just an endless, let's see if I can open it from this angle, an endless supply of just, I suppose, as much of the alchemic artwork and illustrations from a large range of history. Thoughts of a white horse as it chases its loneliness across a field. Grows colour there as each emotion becomes revealed. Sidling into the mists rarely seen, contains light which has never been, besides in the rainbow eye of our white horse. Art is for love.
Art
is for
is for
light.
light.
Art
Art
is for
is
everyone.
for everyone. Is for everyone.
Crafted by Lucas.etsy.com